to the channel. I'm back to break down this 10-game NBA DFS slate on DraftKings and FanDuel. Excited to get into the breakdown, give you guys the plays that are going to get you in that green, winning some money. Before we do, quick reminder that if you do enjoy the content at any point in this video, if you could please take a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, that would be greatly appreciated. And if you are getting very serious about NBA DFS, really playing every single night, I would highly recommend my NBA DFS Premium package. That's linked below in the description. You get access to my projections, my stats tools, all sorts of different stuff. When you click on the link, it'll give you all the details, but you get things like defense half court and putback stats, transition stats, shooting frequency, shooting accuracy, all of the above to really help you out when figuring out who should be in your lineups. So, lastly, don't forget to stay tuned to the end of the video for my lock of the night, and let's get into the breakdown. Let's go game by game. As always, first game on the slate, we have Charlotte taking on Orlando. As far as the injury news in this one, we do have a few guys to keep an eye on. PJ Washington already ruled as out in this one, so expect JD McDaniels to step in and get a few more minutes for the Charlotte side. And then as far as the questionables here, Terry Rozier listed as questionable. He's doubtful to play, so Kelly Oubre Jr. probably going to be in line for a start here. That's going to give him a bump, so keep that in mind when we're breaking this down. So I'm going to start at the top with LaMelo Ball at 8-1. As far as the total pace in this game, how this one's expected to play, this game right now comes in with a 216 over-under. I believe that's the smallest total on the slate. So to be honest with you, this spot's not really going to be a spot that I want to target all too much. If I'm going to target, I really want to target the guys that have the condensed usage and or the guys that are underpriced. So LaMelo Ball has a bunch of condensed usage. He's the point guard. He handles all the on-ball handling duty responsibilities. He will rebound. He will get assists. He'll score. He'll do it all. So him at the top makes some sense. We talked about how Kelly Oubre Jr. is going to be stepping into the starting role probably with no Terry Rozier. He could be a guy that I'm probably looking at in this game because he's only 5'7", and although it's going to play at a slower pace, the price discount and the fact that he's probably not priced accordingly for what his role is factored in that, if there was a possibility Rozier could return. Kelly Oubre Jr. makes a lot of sense to me for sure. And then on the Orlando side, more usage guys would be Cole Anthony, Mo Bamba at 6'2". Mo Bamba, even though it's a slower paced game, he's a guy that plays down low. He can shoot the three, all the above as a big man. He might make some sense in this one. And then Cole Anthony and Wendell Carter Jr., both could be interesting plays as well. But like I said, this game's not fast-paced. It's a big slate. Am I really going to have that much interest in this one? Probably not. Gordon Hayward, Bridges up top. It's just going to be a slow, ugly game. I'd rather target some games that are going to be a little bit quicker. Second game on the slate, we have Washington taking on Boston. Bradley Beal comes in at 9-2. This game comes in right now with 224.5 over-under with a 4.5-point spread in favor of the Boston Celtics. Expected to stay close. Somewhat of a decent total here. With a 224.5 over-under, and the fact that it's expected to stay close goes a long way when we're dealing with some of these teams. So, the usage monster in Bradley Beal at 9-2 going to make a lot of sense to me here. 34 and 32 minutes so far in the season. Hasn't had that big game yet with only 39 and 27 DraftKings points. I think this could be the one that he maybe turns it on. Although he doesn't get the easiest matchup in the world, facing some Marcus Smart defense and stuff. At some point he's going to have a big game, and I tend to think it's going to be in a close game when they really need him to step up. Spencer Dinwiddie and Kyle Kuzma both really cutting into his usage. You could make an argument, but as Bradley Beal continues to get healthy, I think it's not going to be too much of a problem. If anything, these guys are going to help take some attention off him finally, and he's going to have an opportunity to go out there. Kuzma and Dinwiddie finally getting priced up to a point of where they're priced pretty effectively here. I had a lot of interest in them when they were priced a lot cheaper. Not that you couldn't play them in this game, but not priced up quite enough for my liking. Jaylen Brown at 7-8, I think, is a great discount in comparison to Jason Tatum. It seems like this happens every single year, and it's like I'm a broken record, but it's just true. Jaylen Brown on any given night has just as much upside as Jason Tatum. They get a great matchup taking on Washington, and Washington is really not the greatest defensively. And don't get me wrong, Jason Tatum's an absolute stud. He's shown it. 50 and 65 drafting points the last 2 times. But guess what? Like Jaylen Brown gets hot, he can go out there and do the same thing. He's already put up 76 and 53 DraftKings points, and he's only 7-8 compared to 9-1. So, who am I playing if I have to play one of these guys and I can fit in a better lineup around him? It's Jaylen Brown. It's not even a question. So that's something I'd be looking at. Robert Williams at 6'3", an absolute fantasy point per minute beast, and we're finally seeing him really get some solidified minutes here at 6'3". I think he could absolutely explode in this game. Definitely have a lot of interest in Robert Williams. And yeah, Dennis Schroeder off the bench is a 6-man interesting option. Montrezl Harrell off the bench as well. Dennis Schroeder's been crushing. getting a lot of minutes, really having a role on this team at only 5'7". He gets a great matchup at 5'7". I think that makes a lot of sense in this spot for sure. And he's definitely someone that's grading out well for me. And then I also want to talk about Montrezl Harrell off the bench at 5'5" for Washington. You can really get the job done. He can get the job done for you in a very short span of time with a lot of usage off the bench, and he's a great rebounder as well. So that's what I'd be looking to there. Miami taking on Brooklyn. This game right now comes in with a 218 over-under, 4.5 point spread in favor of Brooklyn. Brooklyn, a team that's really not good defensively. They will play some fast-paced games, but Miami, I think, is going to make this game kind of their style of play, which is slow it down, grind defense, and for that reason, I'm going to have, it's tough saying. I'm not going to have as much interest in Durant and Harden from a first look aspect. If I see that everyone's saying that, though, and they're going to have real low ownership and everyone's scared to be playing them, I might be willing to bypass it because while the Heat do really have a good defense, there's no Kyrie Irving right now. So what does that mean? Kevin Durant and James Harden are getting all the usage. They really haven't had much big games yet, to be honest. Kevin Durant's had the biggest games. James Harden's been really disappointing so far. I mean, his top was 48, and we know James Harden has like 70 DraftKings points upside, if not more. I mean, the guy can literally get up to 100. But this game, I expect them to slow it down. I have more interest, I think, on the Miami side, take it on the Brooklyn side, because, they're going to be getting a price bump and a matchup. So guys like Jimmy Butler and Mr. Bam Adebayo could be making some sense here. Both going to have a lot of usage. Brooklyn, like I said, not exactly the best matchup. So while on the Brooklyn side, I'm a little concerned about it being a matchup downgrade. On the Miami side, not so much. Keep in mind, though, Kyle Lowry's back now. I do think that's going to impact the usage a bit here. A lot more interest in Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo when he was out. While, it's not the end of the world, I might want to play Kyle Lowry, actually, at a discounted price in comparison to these two. Bruce Brown at 3.7 for the Nets after seeing only 4 minutes in the opener, which made no sense. Has seen 27 and 30 minutes, so he's grading out as a really good play for me here based on his production. Looking at his overall production and what he provides, Mr. Bruce Brown on a permanent basis. On DraftKings, you're looking at about 0.92 DK points per minute, which is really good for a guy that's only 3.7. So he's a guy I'd be looking to for sure in this game as well. Overall, I'm not the fastest pacing the game in the world whatsoever. Again, next game. Atlanta taking on the New Orleans Pelicans. Trae Young comes in at 9K. This game comes in with a 220 over-under in a game that I think you could definitely be taking advantage of here. A 6-point spread in favor of the Atlanta Hawks. And I'm going to have it just because I think the usage is pretty condensed on both sides. Trae Young at 9K, going to be a guy you're always having interest in on DraftKings specifically, where you get that 3-point bonus. I think this game could top this over-under too. I think it could be maybe a faster-paced game than expected. And for that reason, Trae Young at 9K, going to like him a lot. On the Pelican side, JV at 8.2 continues to just absolutely mash. We know JV is an absolute fantasy point per minute beast. A lot of his teams, he just hasn't been able to get the minutes, and we've seen him play up to 39 minutes so far in the season. The Pelicans really allowing him to go out there and play some minutes, 30, 33, 36, and if this continues based on his per-minute production, going to just continue to crush. So JV definitely makes a lot of sense. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, another guy that produces at a very good rate that was kind of locked down on minutes for the years prior. He had guys that had him in the rotation that he wasn't quite able to crack the starting lineup. He was still developing. Now they're giving him free reign at 6'9". He has a lot of upside. Just keep in mind, you can't play like all these guys from the same team. If you have a lineup and one fits in and you really like one or the other, then it makes sense. Like playing Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Brandon Ingram could pay off without JV, but playing all three, you're probably not going to be doing too hot unless this game for some reason goes like double overtime and just absolutely goes off, which is possible, but not likely. Clint Capella on the other side at 6'5", I think is really cheap. I mean, he's only seen 21, 27, and 26 minutes. His playing time is the only issue. If we find out news that Clint Capella is going to get more playing time in this one at 6'5", he could absolutely crush. So we'll keep an eye on that one. John Collins at 6'3" is also very cheap. And another guy that if he can get some more minutes, could really pay off. And they just need to play in a close game. I think this could be the one. So John Collins and Clint Capella making a lot of sense to me. And then from a cheaper aspect, Devontae Graham at 5'7", I think is really cheap on the New Orleans Pelican side. It can really crush that price tag. And then Bogdanovich and Atlanta Hawks side is really cheap. Both these guys I think could definitely be good tournament darts that could pay off for you at their respective price tags. Indiana taking on Toronto. This game right now comes in with a 218.5 over-under with a 1.5 point spread in favor of the Indiana Pacers. Expected to be somewhat of a slow-paced game, so not getting too excited here, honestly. Both sides. Karis LeVert listed as questionable, so keep an eye on that. If he's back, that could definitely impact this rotation. We'll have to keep an eye on who's starting, and that might make it so that we're not quite as interested in some of these guys. But overall, both of these rotations pretty solid. Malcolm Brogdon and Domantas Sabonis on the Indiana side. It's all going to start with them. They really condense a lot of the usage on the Indiana side. So, if they're going to have upside games, or Indiana's going to have a big scoring night, they're going to be a big part of that. On the Toronto side, it's Van Vliet, Anunoby, Scotty Barnes. All these guys are going to get a lot of minutes as well. The rotation very tight, up to like 38 minutes for Anunoby last game. And continuing to see it. Scotty Barnes, 39 minutes from him. So both rotations, I think, are fairly obvious. And for that reason, you could have interest. Chris Duarte at 5'6", continues to just absolutely smash. He's been really underpriced, though, multiple times. Now I think he's kind of appropriately priced finally. So I'm looking to target him probably in some more up-paced games. Don't get me wrong, you can still go to him, but am I getting nearly as excited? Not really. Not really nearly as much interest. So one guy I think that's going to be interesting is going to be Goran Dragic, who's priced to 3.7 for some reason. He's going to come off the bench now. Gary Trent's in the starting lineup, and his minutes have been cut way down. So I guess that makes sense, but still at 3.7, if the guy's able to get like 20 minutes, he could still crush that price tag. So there's an interesting option. And then Chris Boucher at 5K is another guy I have to mention. He's only tallied 5 and 8 minutes the last few times out. I'm not really sure why. Yeah, so sometimes this happens with Chris Boucher where he gets no playing time though, and then he plays and he's just gonna smash. If he's just 5K and he's going to play like 20 minutes, I mean, I guarantee he's going to just smash that price tag. But actually, US seems to be the guy they're really happy with, so he's getting a lot of minutes at 4.9. Can certainly play him over Boucher and not have to worry about that sweat for minutes whatsoever. So I could see that. And then Gary Trent Jr. in his new role at 4.8 is a little bit underpriced, I think, as well, for the fact that he is no longer restricted on his minutes. Minnesota taking on Milwaukee. This game right now comes in with a 228.5 over-under, expected to be one of the faster-paced games on the slate. 7.5 point spread in favor of the Milwaukee Bucks. And I have a lot of interest in Giannis Antetokounmpo. Minnesota does not scare me at all from a defensive aspect. Last time out, Giannis went up there and put up 62.5 DraftKings points. After not really having a big game the last 2 times out, but I think this one could be the one where he finally goes back out there and has another big game because, and possibly his highest scoring game of the year, because I think the pace is just going to be that effective, and I think that Minnesota can keep this game close based on the spread. 7.5. They might be struggling at times to keep it close, but I think overall they will. And there is expected to be no Jrue Holiday, no Brook Lopez in this one for Milwaukee, and no Dante DiVincenzo. So big injury news. George Hill should get the start for Jrue Holiday. As far as Brook Lopez is concerned and who that's going to impact, Bobby Portis and Semi Ojeleye are expected to return in this one. So that means that Bobby Portis, if we have no restrictions on him, he's going to be an absolute smash play here. Bobby Portis is an absolute beast on a permanent basis. He's only 4'3". Minnesota's defense sucks. If he's squared up against Karl-Anthony Towns, I'm not even worried about it. And also, Malik Beasley at 4'4" in this game, I have a ton of interest in. He's been able to get up to 30 minutes, and he's only 4'4" on the Minnesota side. So I do think that he's a very intriguing play as well, so I want to mention him. But yeah, and there's no Dante DiVincenzo. So who's that going to impact? Grayson Allen, Jordan Nora are going to get more minutes for sure. I think Grayson Allen, a guy that can shoot the 3 ball at only 4'4", too cheap. Jordan Nora, too cheap here at 4'5". And it's very obvious that this Milwaukee squad is going to provide a lot of value, and I think with these injuries, it's even more incentive that this game is going to stay close. Chris Middleton at 7'8", going to be an absolute smash play here. He's too underpriced with there being no Jrue Holiday. It's that simple. If there's no Jrue Holiday, this guy should be like a 9K player at least, and he's not, so we're going to like him. Minnesota, Karl-Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, D'Angelo Russell. Those 3 guys are the guys that are really going to dominate the usage. Those 3 guys are the guys that are the most obvious plays, and those 3 guys are guys that can have ceiling games and games that are expected to stay close, and I'm really going to like those 3 guys specifically. And then I talked about Malik Beasley from a salary aspect. George Hill at 3.7 on the Milwaukee side. That's too cheap for the injuries they're dealing with. So yeah, Gonna have a lot of interest in this game. A lot of value to be had there. Moving further along. Next game on the slate, we have the LA Lakers taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Anthony Davis listed as questionable. He went down with a knee soreness issue. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him out. LeBron James was out last game. He's listed as questionable now. High ankle sprain, and he was sore in a different spot last time out. So keep an eye on this. This is big news. As far as the totals in the Vegas lines right now, this game comes in with a 220.5 over-under with a 9-point spread in favor of the LA Lakers. If LeBron James or Anthony Davis misses, Russ Westbrook becomes a much better play. And if both of them miss, he becomes an absolute must-play. And if one of these guys is out, the two guys that are going to be in are going to be great plays. So that's how that's going to break out. Keep an eye on that injury news. I would assume someone's going to be out, and whoever's out, the other guys, make sure you get them in your lineups because they're going to be great plays and good upgrades. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at only 7-1 on the other side continues to be too cheap in my opinion. He was priced up to 8-1 and he got 40 last time. Now he's down to 7-1, so not sure the pricing algorithm there. I mean, the LA Lakers aren't the best matchup in the world, but this guy's usage is absolutely ridiculous with the squad that he's on, so I definitely like him. And yeah, Josh Giddey at 4.8 is a cheap option that's getting a lot of minutes if you want to go to him, but mostly my interest is going to be on the Lakers side. Carmelo Anthony will also get a bunch more usage if there's no Anthony Davis and LeBron James. He's going to be stepping into a bigger role, so we'll have to be having some interest in him. Kent Bazemore, Wayne Ellington, all these guys will get big bumps. Malik Monk as well at 3.7 would become a tremendous play. He got 39 minutes last time out. So keep an eye on that injury news. That's going to be big for sure. Sacramento taking on Phoenix. This game comes in with a 226 over-under, 8-point spread in favor of the Phoenix Suns. They're expected to win this one fairly easily. If the game's going to stay close on the Sacramento side, we know that De'Aaron Fox dominates this usage at 8.6. He could be a smash play here who hasn't really had a big game yet, 45 being his best game. This guy's capable of putting up 60, so definitely have interest in him. DeAndre Ayton on the Phoenix side, I think, is too cheap at 6.6. I think he could explode for that price tag, so I'm going to be having some interest in him in this game. And then, as far as anyone else, Rashawn Holmes, a little bit of a revenge narrative, former Phoenix Suns guy, and he's a high-energy guy that can definitely get you some rebounds, so I have a lot of interest in him in this matchup, and I'm not too scared of DeAndre Ayton defense. Memphis taking on Portland. This game right now comes in with a 234 over-under, expected to be the fastest-paced game on the slate, and the game that I have the most interest in by far. 2.5-point spread in favor of Portland. Game's expected to stay close. Game is expected to be high scoring. That means we're going to have a lot of interest in these guys. Norman Powell listed as questionable in this one. Keep an eye on that news. He's expected to reclaim his starting role when he comes back. For the time being, Damian Lillard, TJ McCollum, absolute smash plays in this spot. Yusuf Nurkic. If I'm picking these guys, I do think that it makes sense to go with the price discount on TJ McCollum and Yusuf Nurkic, just because for them to get to their upside is very easy. However, Dame has a huge upside, and he's priced cheaper than we probably could see him all season long, because a lot of times he'll get priced up into that 10K range. Right now he's 9.4. This game's going to be moving fast. Ja Morant at 9.6, absolute fantasy point per minute beast for the Memphis side, and the guy that's mostly responsible for carrying the load on this offensive side, going to smash. Jaren Jackson Jr. at 6.6, if he can stay out of foul trouble, produces at a very high rate, we'll definitely have interest in him. Same's going to apply for Steven Adams. DeAnthony Melton, and Steven Adams just 5.3 is just too cheap. This guy's been smashing all season long. And then DeAnthony Melton and and Desmond Bane continue to see starting roles here, and I think they're too cheap for this fast up-tempo game, so I have a lot of interest in them, a lot of interest in this game. And lastly, Larry Nance Jr. at 3.8. If he's going to continue to get minutes, could make a lot of sense in this one as well. So, I mean, this game's just top game environment on the slate. By far, you need to be prioritizing getting guys from this game in your lineups. You can get lots of guys from it. In the last game, Cleveland taking on the LA Clippers. Paul George now priced all the way up to 10.3. This game comes with a 217 over-under with an 8-point spread in favor of the LA Clippers. Clippers expected to win this one easily. The game's going to be a little bit slower pace for that reason. I'm not going to have much interest in Paul George. I think I'd rather go to the cheaper guys in Reggie Jackson and Eric Bledsoe. I think their likelihood of getting there is just a lot more realistic in this game. That's expected to stay close, and if the game blows out, I don't have to worry about it. With their cheaper price tags, they can still get there, whereas Paul George, if he's out after the third quarter, he might be well on his way, but he can't quite get there at his price tag when he gets pulled. So On the Cleveland side, it's going to be Evan Mobley, Darius Garland, Colin Sexton. They're going to continue to really dominate the usage on their side. So those are the guys I'd be looking to try to keep this game close. And then, of course, Jared Allen at 6'3". He's a fantasy point per minute beast as well. So fairly easy to be determining who we're going to on the Cleveland side, as well as Ricky Rubio. Yeah, and then Lauri Markkanen. I mean, Cleveland, pretty obvious to be seeing who you're going to. These guys mainly in the rotation. And taking a quick look at FanDuel here, almost forgot, but I wanted to always take a look and see if there's anyone that has a big pricing discrepancy, because I talk about a lot of guys I like, and I like to just go down the list. So Giannis Antetokounmpo at 11-2, I think is going to be a great play. Malik Beasley at 4-5, we talked about him. Chris Middleton, with there being no Jrue Holiday. Damian Lillard at 8-2 on FanDuel. There's a guy that has a big pricing discrepancy. That's way too cheap in my opinion. 8-2 on FanDuel. Damian Lillard's going to be an absolute smash play here on FanDuel, so I definitely like him. Let's see. Bogdan Bogdanovic we talked about. Kyle Lowry at 6'5", I think is too cheap on FanDuel. Bradley Beal at 8'7" is too cheap. So Damian Lillard and Bradley Beal, both guys we talked about over on DraftKings that are priced way up. They're not so priced up on FanDuel. Both those guys are really sticking out to me. And then CJ McCollum, the same thing could be said for him. We do like guys that are a little more scrappy. They get the steals, not quite as scoring reliant over here on FanDuel. But Dennis Schroeder as well at only 5'8". He's a guy we talked about. Jonas Valanciunas at only 7'5". Gonna have interest in those guys. Yeah, Schroeder at 5'8" is a very friendly price tag over here. So a lot of the guys we talked about, I like to just clarify based on the pricing differences if there's anyone over here that really stands out. Those are the guys that are really standing out to me here. And that is my overall breakdown of this 10-game slate. Before I let you guys go, I've got to give you my lock of the night. Let's get into it. And my lock of the night tonight is going to be Chris Middleton. In this game for Milwaukee, dealing with injuries, depleted overall, taking on a Minnesota squad. I think he's far too underpriced across the industry in a fast-paced game, and a game that I expect to stay close, dealing with injuries. If there was ever a time where Milwaukee couldn't quite blow Minnesota out, this would be it. Chris Middleton produces very good at a per-minute base on both DraftKings and FanDuel, and like I said, too underpriced. I'd expect him to absolutely smash in this spot. Get him in your lineups because he is my lock of the night. There you have it, guys. Chris Middleton, get him in your lineups. And that is all from me in this one. If you did enjoy the content at any point in this video, if you could please take a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. That would be greatly appreciated. Wish you guys all the best of luck tonight, and we will see you in the next one.